Welcome everybody. Let's talk a little bit about all the ARPG nonsense that's going on in this world right now. It's you've got Path of Exile, Last Epoch, and Diablo 4. Now, there's a whole lot of bashing and just all kinds of nonsense going on right now with these games. I mean, it just seems to be the favorite thing right now of some streamers to just bash Diablo 4. Um, Comparing it to PoE, comparing it to Last Epoch, and the same is true with Last Epoch and PoE. So let's just see if we can clear a little bit of air. Okay, first of all, a few weeks ago, there was a big push about how streamers want Diablo 4 to fail. What would a streamer get? What gain would they get from any game failing? There's not a gain. There's not a plus side to anybody, for a game to fail and for a streamer want to a game to fail. Well, I don't understand how that conspiracy came about, but it did, and I don't understand it. Maybe there is a streamer out there that wants a game to fail. I don't know. Maybe they just hate it so bad they want it to fail. I don't know. But let me give you my thoughts on this whole thing, okay? Let me give you my comparison, okay? So I think personally that I think Diablo 4 is a game that's kind of made I think it's the easiest, less complicated of the three games between Path of Exile, Last Epoch, and Diablo 4. I think that Diablo 4 skill tree, I think that its uh passive tree is the Paragon board. I think that it's much easier than Path of Exile. I think Path of Exile is probably the most complicated, maybe the most intimidating for some new users to come into. And I think that Last Epoch has got like a middle ground. Its skill board, its passive board is a little more complicated than Diablo 4's, but less complicated than Path of Exiles. I think that Path of Exile, it can sometimes make my brain hurt when I play it, but it's also part of its complications, and being so complicated is also partly why I like it, because it allows me so much flexibility with any character. But there are times that, I come home from work. I don't work anymore. I'm retired. But when I used to come home from work, that I would be exhausted and my brain hurt, and Path of Exile was the last thing I wanted to play. Whereas Diablo 4 is kind of a no-brainer in my opinion for between these three games. It's probably the easiest to jump into. And I know that I've had people tell me, well, I think Diablo 4 is complicated too. I understand. If you've never played an ARPG, it may be complicated to you, and it may be complicated to you even if you play ARPGs. But I think it's the least complicated of the three. I think that Last Epoch has found a good middle ground. I think that it requires some thought. It requires some sitting down and trying to figure out a good build, a good passive tree, a good skill tree. But I think that it's less complicated than Path of Exile. I think that for a new player coming into an ARPG, either Last Epoch or Diablo 4 is probably their wisest choice. And then they need to choose a simple build in those two games so they can really enjoy the game. I mean, we all have to remember that some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla. Some people want a complicated game. They want something that's really going to make them put some thought into what they're doing, and it's to each their own. But to have this bashing going on and this ridiculous things that I'm hearing is kind of a little bit insane in my opinion. I mean, I like all three games. I've played all three games. I definitely have thoughts on all three games. I think some are better than others, but I think that each has its own strengths, each has its own weaknesses, and each is built for probably a different player. So I just want to put that out there that my thought is that some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla, and that we should just let it go, man. I mean, if you don't like a game, then you don't like it. It's that simple. Then don't play it. I don't understand why we're still talking about this bashing of Diablo 4 or I, I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I will honestly say that I believe there's a lot of faults with Diablo 4, but I still believe it's a good playable game and that people just need to chill out. Anyway, my thought, just wanted to put that out there. Adios, everybody. Take care. Have a great day.